We just showed you the White House moments ago. Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau has arrived. I want to get back to my take for the top of the hour. Chris Stirewalt joins us now, Fox News Politics Editor. They are polar opposites, Chris, and I suspect that the media, America's media, is going to fall in love with Mr. Trudeau from Canada and show their contempt for President Trump of America. What say you?
Well, probably, or at least some will. Certainly, Trudeau is this heartthrob liberal politician, and there has been plenty of swooning for him in the past. But I would say this, in addition, both Trump and Trudeau need for this to go well. They both need for this to be a successful meeting, and they need for this to reinforce what is arguably the single most important alliance that the United States has, our most important trading partner, and right next door. So they both want this to go well because Trudeau has some problems back home in the sense that, as you pointed out, he is uber liberal in a country that maybe not be fully comfortable with what his policies are.
Really? Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize he had a problem with domestic politics, being too liberal himself. I did not know that. But I want to talk to you about the market going straight up this morning. As you know, the Dow is, 2,000 points above where it was on Election Day. We say this is the Trump tax rally. The president says there'll be an announcement in 2 or 3 weeks. Now, you're on the inside of politics, Chris. Is that realistic, that the president will be able to show us a tax reform bill plan 2 or 3 weeks from now?
It's possible if it's limited in scope.
Yep.
If Paul Ryan, what Paul Ryan wants to do is do it all, right? He wants to unpack all of the luggage that relates to Obamacare and health insurance because there's taxes deeply embedded into all of that. He wants to deal with corporate taxes. He wants to deal with personal taxes. He wants to deal with expenditures. He wants to put it all on the table and make the grand bargain that Washington has wanted to achieve for so long. That doesn't happen in 2 weeks. But what could happen in 2 weeks was that the administration would lay out its plan on corporate taxation and doing things to get that money onshored that has been offshored, is more than $1 trillion that economists believe is offshore that could come back into the United States for investment. That may be Trump's first priority, and that's something he could talk about this month.
Here's something else that could happen today. President Trump rewrites the executive order on that temporary travel restriction. We hear from our own Judge Napolitano that if he rewrote it in a certain way, it would negate all of those outstanding lawsuits on the West Coast, and it would negate the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals judgment. One fell swoop, and we got ourselves a new travel restriction. That could happen today. That would be popular, I suspect.
It would be very popular, and it's okay. When you're president of the United States, you make mistakes. You make a lot of mistakes because you do so many things. They wrote this document in error, as the administration has tacitly admitted it. It already admitted that including people who are already permanent legal residents of the United States and restricting their travel was not okay. They don't that the president maybe doesn't really have the power to exclude a class of people who are permanent legal residents of the country. If they drop the green card language from this, if they take that part out of the people who've already been through the system and already, especially people who are in the naturalization process, they take that out and go with just the fact that they want a temporary ban on all refugees and on visas and new travel from those 7 troubled countries. Only extremists would argue that he doesn't have the power to do those things.
Chris, are things beginning to settle down? I mean, you know, really, I know we're into the 4th week of his presidency. It's not quite as frenetic, and there's some more positive things that the president is doing. I get the impression maybe that the leftist tide has been broken and that things are calming down on Mr. Trump's side.
Trump's got to figure out a couple things right now. He's got to figure out whether or not he is going to accede to the demands of the national security community and oust Michael Flynn as his national security advisor. That is hanging fire in a big way for this administration, and he's got to deal with that massive distraction. The second thing he's got to do is allay concerns about infighting inside the administration, but whether it's Steve Bannon, Reince Priebus, whomever, there's a little too much drama right now. The internal staffing stuff takes time to shake out. Trump's got to finish the job there. And remember, he's only getting his Treasury Secretary today. He's only completing the core functions of the core competencies of his team today. So it takes time.
Okay, and the market's straight up. Chris Stirewalt, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
All right.